this is Aromie here. Welcome back to Lurkers. We're here talking to Mr. Don't know how to pronounce his name. You aren't a coroner, are you? No, I'm an obstetrician. I have a surgery practice at 152 Whitechapel Road. Okay, why did the police call you exactly? The police constable woke me up at 4 a.m. to conduct an examination of the woman they had just found on Bucks Row. Why you instead of Mr. Baxter Phillips? Isn't he the police surgeon? He was the one called to inspect Annie Chapman's case of next week, right? I don't know. I suppose I was closer and the constable already knew where I live. Upstairs above my surgery practice, by the way. Upstairs above my surgery practice, by the way. Easy to remember. I know with a hum, alright? That makes sense. But you were asked to make the autopsy the next morning, too. He gestures around it to the small and simple space of the mortuary. Yes, I made the post-mortem examination. I might not be a coroner, but I have some experience as a surgeon. I'm perfectly capable of making an autopsy. What did you notice in regards to the corpse? He links his hands behind his back. Basically what is stated in the coroner's inquest. There was very little blood for such a deep wound on her neck. The incision completely severed all the tissues down to the vertebrae. The cut must have been made with a long-bladed knife, moderately sharp, and wielded with great force. I'm glad Eddie has stayed at Forrester's instead of joining me. There was a wound on her abdomen, running in a jagged manner. It was a very deep wound, and the tissues were cut through. There were also 3 or 4 similar cuts running downwards. Anything else? Nothing that I can recall, no. Any signs of strangling? The doctor shrugs. He seems impatient, 2 minutes away from taking his pocket watch out and excusing himself. Nothing irrefutable. She had a bruise on the lower part of her jaw and a slight laceration on the tongue. But apart from that bruise, there weren't any visible signs of struggle or asphyxis. Perhaps her pimp punched her that same day, or a customer. You know, the kind of life those lower types of women have. Have you examined the second victim's corpse? I have. Since I work in the neighborhood, I volunteered to help Dr. Baxter Phillips with the ugly task of examining the body. Annie Chapman, were there differences with the state of Polly Nichols' corpse? His eyes suddenly shine. Oh yes, indeed. First, the throat had been severed, as if they had tried to separate the head from the body, dividing the bones of the neck. And of course, the abdomen had been entirely laid out. The intestines had been severed from the body and placed on the shoulder of the corpse. Thank you, Dr. Fuck, I don't know how to pronounce your name, dude. I think that's enough. Whilst from the pelvis, the uterus and its appendages, with the upper portion of the vagina and the posterior 2/3 of the bladder had been entirely removed. The trace of those parts could be found, and the incisions were cleanly cut, avoiding the rectum and dividing the vagina low enough to avoid injury to the cervix uteri. What the fuck? The vivid description combined with the pungent smell of the mortuary is making my stomach churn. Most interesting, thank you. Do you think both crimes had the same murder? That's not for me to judge. Do you think the same weapon was used in both murders? In both cases, the weapon was a long knife, but that's not very specific. It could have been a butcher's knife, for example, but we don't have enough evidence. Dr. Baxter Phillips stated the weapon could definitely be a surgeon's scalpel. And according to him, the murderer has knowledge of anatomical or pathological examinations, or he wouldn't be able to make those injuries with such speed and in almost pitch-black darkness. Dr. Llewellyn? Fuck, how do you pronounce it? It feels like a tongue twister for me for some reason. Like my tongue doesn't want to work with me to pronounce that. Shrugs with annoyance. That's his opinion, not mine. Someone who works at a slaughterhouse would be able to perform those cuts without a problem. I read that opinion in some newspapers, but I have my reservations. There are huge anatomical differences between a cow and a woman, among other issues. So according to observed data, I can only confirm that the cuts were similar, which tells us that the weapon used in both crimes was the same kind of knife. And the main difference between the crimes is that the first victim had all her organs intact, while the second... The smile slowly spreads over his face. Yes. I cut him off quickly before he repeats the gory details. I don't have more questions, thank you. He nods, more relaxed at the start of our conversation. Oh, I thought I had more. Wasn't there a bottom one? I didn't even look at it. I'll be at my surgery practice if the Met needs anything else from me, even though I regret to say. Yes? I think it's a shame the amount of popular attention these crimes have garnered. You know, these kinds of women die These kinds of women die every day of the week of syphilis, giving birth to their bastards, or at the hands of their lovers or clients, so why all this hassle about them? They never learn, no matter how many die. The next day there are new prostitutes walking the streets of London. It's the milady of our age, perfectly normal, insane housewives who suddenly can't stand the peace of their homes and leave their families behind. What for? Just to give free rein to their vices? Alcoholic, immoral, all of them. What the fuck, bitch? Honestly, London won't miss them. They don't even deserve the paper's headlines they're getting. A headline people will read, get incensed about, and then forget completely about those dead whores in 2 days. Bro, you're kind of rude. They've become a banal topic of conversation over a pint at the pub, and then nothing at all. This man is creeping me out. Thank you so much for your insight, Doctor. You've been of great help. He nods again with a smile, and I take my leave. Eddie, right, Eddie's point of view. When I step in the frying pan around noon, with Chris Forrester in tow, William is already waiting for us. I pushed a reluctant journalist in the direction of the discreet table William has saved for us, the same one we sat at yesterday. Oh, Mr. Forrester, I didn't expect to see you here. What do you mean? We have to keep watch of him. He's feeling better, but I wanted to keep an eye on him. Besides, it's lunchtime, and a hot meal would be great. Chris pulls a face, but he finally takes a chair for himself and sits down at the table. Excellent, let's order before my informant arrives. An informant? This guy's full of surprises. How is it that he already has informants in London? Didn't he arrive only days ago? William seems to read my thoughts, because one look at me and he bursts out laughing. Don't be so surprised, Eddie. This is my job, remember? If there's something I know, that's how to meet the right people under any circumstances. Be it buying some sailors a beer at some cheap pub at the docks, showing the commissioner's permit to a disgruntled clerk, or paying a nice sum of money for the information. I bet this time it's the latter. You got it right. We order fish and chips for William and sausage mashed for Chris and me, along with ale to wash it down. Thanks for the meal. You're right, Eddie. I feel much better now. Look at him. He looks so cute, smiling. Please don't be the murderer. I'm glad. You should take it easy the rest of the day. Do you have to go to the Illustrated today? I'll send a note to ask if they need me. I have some work I can do from home. Mr. Burns. Oh yes, it's me. Sit down, please. Do you want a beer? A tall man in a ratty suit and elbow patches takes a seat at our table, but raises his hand in a dismissing gesture. He must be William's informant. No thank you, I'll pass. He takes a leather folder from an inner pocket of his coat and extracts some paper into envelopes, placing them with care on top of our table. This is all I can share with you. The man stares at Chris and me with undisguised apprehension. They are with me, my assistants. Chris is like, assistant what, bitch? I reach out to shake his hand, and after a short hesitation, Chris does the same. None of us introduce ourselves by name. Pleased to meet you. I work at the Central News Agency, but we can't show these letters to the public until we get permission from the big fishes of Met. I spy Chris with the corner of my eyes. He's a journalist. I hope he understands he needs to be discreet about this. William, obviously thinking the same, glares at him until Chris notices it and nods. Reassured, William turns to his informant again. Tell us more about these letters. Can I touch them? Yes, they are duplicates, not the real ones. Those are at the Met headquarters. I guess the police are having a field day with them. William takes the first one and examines it with great care. We have received quite a bunch of these letters, but I've only brought the ones that have the more probabilities of not being hoax. Hoax? Do you mean people are sending you fake letters saying they are the Whitechapel Fine? Yes, exactly. There are photographs of the real letters attached with a clip to each copy. William frowns as he discards them one by one. Dear boss. Okay, I was gonna say, I cannot read all this. Please help. They all look fake to me. Dear boss, I keep on hearing the police have caught me, but they won't fix me just yet. Chris starts to shake when he hears those words. Alarmed, I grab his forearm. Chris, are you okay? William's reaction is putting the duplicate in the photo of the real letter in front of Chris's face. Forrester, take a look. Come on, what do you see? Did you write this? Wait, did you write this in blood, bro? His whole body is shivering out of control. William, that's enough. He didn't write it. Okay, since you guys aren't reading it to me, I guess I'll read it. Dear boss, I keep on having the I can't even fucking read it. I keep on hearing the police have caught me, but they won't fix me just yet. I have laughed when they look so clever and talk about being on the right track. That joke about What? A joke about feather apron? Gave me real fits. I am down on whores. What? I am down on whores and I shan't quit ripping them till I do get buckled. Grand work though. Fuck, I can't read that. But he reacted to this letter. Perhaps he can send something in it. The informant, confused at first, quickly turns to the same state of excitement as William. Is he here? Let me see. Which letter is it? I take the letter away from poor Chris, who closes his eyes and tries to focus on calming his breathing. Yours truly, Jack the Ripper. He's giving himself a nickname now. I keep rubbing Chris's shoulder, more than a bit concerned. My curiosity wins and I end up peeking at the content of the damn letter too. I save some of the proper red stuff in a ginger beer bottle over the last drop to write with. Oh god, it is blood. But it went thick like glue and I can't use it. Crap, this guy's sick. We already knew that. The next job I do, I shall clip the lady's ear off and send it to the police officer just for jolly. He isn't going to stop until we catch him. The informant keeps studying the letter with the word expression. Jack the Ripper. Do you think this one is legit, Ben? When did you receive it? 2 days ago. The three of us watch Chris, who curls up until he's in a fetal position, threatening to fall down off the chair. If we go with his reaction, it might be yes. William, please help me get him outside. He needs fresh air. Bro, please do not be a murderer. He nods and stands up to pay our meal and goodbye to the foreman. Say goodbye to the foreman. Any better? Chris keeps whining softly like a whipped dog. His forehead is damp with cold sweat and he can't stop trembling. Let's take him home. He needs to lay down and rest. The detective sighs, but he promptly nods and helps me with Chris. There, on the couch. Help me lift his legs. The journalist is feverish to the touch, his sight lost in the void. He's cleaning and sharpening his blades. I can see he's here. What? He bolts up, but William and I hold him down by his shoulders and keep him laying down. Relax, Chris. He's not here. It's me, Eddie. We're Jack the Ripper. His glazed eyes seem to return to sanity for once. There's no way William's Jack the Ripper because, he just got here in London a couple days ago. Eddie? He searches for my hand, but then another stroke seizes him and his body tenses up, becoming like a wooden board. His eyes roll and turn blank again. The expression becomes vacant, a thread of saliva falling down his chin. Dude, is he dead? Hold him down. I'll bring him a blanket. They just pass out. I don't know what happened. It takes at least 1 hour and our combined efforts, talking softly to him and keeping him firmly still to get Chris to calm down. I don't even want to think of what could happen to him whenever he has these strokes when he's, that's what going through a stroke is like? Like you're dying? Jesus. He could easily hurt himself. If at least he was able to describe what kind of knife that murderer is using, or any other useful detail. Stop that, William! He grunts, but sits down beside Chris and looks down at him with concern. To be honest, despite how infuriating he usually is and how convinced he is or was about Chris being the murderer, he seems genuinely worried about the journalist. Do you still think he's the killer? No, you're right. He isn't the kind of person who would murder an innocent person in cold blood. But there still seems to be a connection between him and the murderer. This is so frustrating. He's so busy fuming in silence that I haven't got the heart to remind him about our bet. And I'm not in the mood for joking anyway. I'll keep it for another day. Hey, did you get something new from the appointment you had this morning? He thinks about it for a long moment before answering. I'm not sure, not yet. I met the doctor who examined your mother's corpse. First at the crime scene itself, and the next morning at the Whitechapel Workhouse Infirmary. Oh, should I have been there? No, you definitely shouldn't have. That guy is a freak. I thought he was a doctor. What's wrong with him? He's a misogynist who enjoys gory wounds a tad too much, and seems to think that the victims had it coming. Oh, really? Yeah, well, I've met some men who believe the same since the crime started, but to think a man of science would stoop so low. Apart from that, he wasn't very helpful. I'm about to ask him about our next move when Chris finally rouses from the light slumber he was in. Chris, how are you feeling? Better? You should probably write a note for your boss telling him you're still sick. Oh yes, I'll do it right now. I leave him to William's care while I go... Wait, we should compare handwritings. I leave him to William's care while I go out to the street to call an errand boy to carry the note. Oh, so that's how y'all deliver. Okay. When I reach the street door, though, I see something that we didn't notice before when we came in the house due to her state of worry. Oh, hell no. Chris, there's a letter in your doorstep. No. It's kind of scary. A letter? Can you bring it here? He opens the envelope and reads a single paper sheet with haste. His expression softens with relief when he finishes reading. It's from my psychiatrist. He passed by while we were at the pub. He suggests he visit me tomorrow at the Illustrated. Does he always visit you at home or at your workplace? Well, the first time we met at his office in the asylum. But the place was frightening. I couldn't stand the screams. So I refused to go back. Then he wrote me to suggest that we continue with the treatment, but here instead. How dedicated of him. How dedicated. This story is getting more chaotic. I don't know what's happening. I don't even know who the murder could possibly be. Like, everyone's suspicious at this point. But anyway, thank you guys for watching today's episode. Stay beautiful, and I will see you guys in the next one.